Hello, good evening, good evening, sir, good evening, man. Welcome to another episode, another program on this platform, Become a Better Man. My name is Tunde Disu, and it's a privilege for me to have you on this program today. Sorry, we're starting a bit late. We had some issues with connecting with the internet, but hey, these things do happen. But we're here now, and we're going to kick off almost immediately. So please, if you are out there, let me hear your voice. Let me see what you are saying. Say something to me so that I know you are there. It would help me to know that I'm not just speaking to myself, that somebody at least is hearing what I'm saying. Again, apologies for starting late. 2 days ago, I put out a promo regarding today's program, and I said the topic of today is something that is going to be wonderful. As you know, on today's program, we're looking at how to handle difficult and unreasonable people, how to deal with difficult and unreasonable people. And when I say that, I said, before you start pointing to your neighbor or thinking of your cousin or your colleague at work, maybe you should start looking in the mirror, because you are the best person to you, but to somebody else, you might just be the difficult and the unreasonable person in their life. So you might as well look in the mirror and ask yourself, is that me? Is it talking about me? Could that actually be me? Would I even imagine that I could be described as being unreasonable or being difficult? I am the best person you have ever met. We all believe the best about ourselves, and rightly so. The Bible talks about do not have an over-exaggerated opinion about yourself. It didn't say you shouldn't have an opinion or an exaggerated opinion about yourself. He said we should not have an over-exaggerated one. So, when it comes to dealing with difficult and unreasonable people, we all have our parts to play. At one point or another, in your short or long life that you've lived here on earth, you have been unreasonable, you have been difficult. Somebody wish they never even know you, met you, or interact with you at some point or another, because you have been a difficult person or an unreasonable person in the life of others. So before you start calling names and pointing fingers and imagining who this relates to, let's start by looking in the mirror. How difficult are you? How unreasonable can you be sometimes, especially when you want to have it your way? If we're to ask the closest people in your life, will they describe you that at some point you can be difficult? And maybe you are sometimes unreasonable in your thought patterns, unreasonable in your line of argument, unreasonable in your stand, unreasonable in even considering another person's point of view. So this topic today relates to all of us. All of us, we have our part to play. We have our own issue as far as being difficult and being unreasonable is concerned. So it's one for you, one for me. We all have our own part to play. But quickly, let's look at what does it mean by difficult and unreasonable people. When you say somebody is difficult, somebody is unreasonable, what exactly are we trying to say? Are we saying because we can't control them? Or are we saying because we can't have our ways with them? Are we saying because they have a different opinion? Or because their belief system is different? Maybe their background, their religion, their orientation, their whatever it is that can differentiate them from us. Maybe that is what we see, and we call them difficult and even unreasonable. Whatever permutation, whatever factors or variables that you have put into the equation to arrive at your conclusion, well, I'm here to tell you tonight, good as they may be, maybe they are not even worthy to qualify somebody as being unreasonable or being difficult. Difficult people, they defy logic. They're just difficult. Hi Rita, thank you for joining me from Netherlands. Difficult people are just difficult people, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, there is something you can do about it, at least for your own sake, and we will get into that at later part as we go along tonight. Difficult people, they just defy logic. You just think, what planet are you from? What village are you from? As far as people who are difficult is concerned. Learning to deal with difficult people is like learning a foreign language. When it comes to dealing with difficult people, it's almost as equal as what you have to cope with, what you have to deal with, what you have to handle as far as learning a foreign language is concerned. You see, when you are learning a foreign language, it can be very exciting. You want to know how to say this in this language. You want to know how to say that in that language. You want to express yourself in a different language. Great as that may be, you and I know that before you can become fluent in that foreign language, there's a lot of work to be done. There is a lot of work to be done. But the good thing about it is this. If you are willing and committed to putting in the time and the effort, the benefit far, far outweighs the hardship and the sacrifice that you have to put in at the beginning. It's the same thing when you're dealing with people that are seemingly or that we term difficult or unreasonable. It is hard work. And I can tell you that. I don't even need to tell you that. You know that these people, my goodness, they are hard work. But so are you. So am I. We are hard work. And sometimes what we think as, oh, it's nothing, to the person at the receiving end is a whole Sorry, we just temporarily lost connection there. I'm glad we're back. So, when it comes to dealing with difficult and unreasonable people, it is the emotional stress that comes with it. That is the part that you have to deal with, you have to carry, you have to take on board afterwards. But this is how I want you to see it. When you have the privilege, let me call it that, or the opportunity to deal with difficult people, before you start pulling your hairs out, before you start screaming and shouting at your computer, before you start kicking the dog and kicking the cat and screaming at everybody else, just stop and look at it this way. Dealing with difficult people is almost a drama. It is almost a drama. And guess who portrays drama in all that they do? Children. Being dramatic is more in attitude, in behaviors, in interactions, in the view to life. It is children that are most of the time dramatic. So when you see an adult, a grown-up, who is displaying these character traits, who carries himself or herself with this way of life and see life from a tainted glasses as these, and they add to that some drama, you just know that this is a small child in a big body. So whenever you're faced with somebody who is irrational in their thinking, who is out of control in their emotion, who is displaying the characteristics of a difficult person, just pull yourself together and say, well, I think there is a child in this room. And wherever a child is, it is the responsibility of the grown-ups, of the adults, to take care of the situation, to bring order to the house. But if somebody is being unreasonable, or somebody is just being difficult, and you started attending to them at that same level, at that same with the same attitude, guess what? Both of you have now become children. So the first question you must ask yourself when you're dealing with difficult and unreasonable people is this: am I going to be a child as well? Am I going to be a child as well? Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, that's looking down your nose at somebody and looking down on somebody. How can you call an adult a child? No, I didn't call the person a child. I've not addressed the person. I've not labeled the person as a child. I'm saying the character traits, the exhibition that I'm seeing, the manifestation of what we are seeing here is that of a child. And because I don't want to be labeled as such, I am going to be the adult. I'm going to be the grown-up. I'm going to be the matured one. I am going to bring order into the situation. But the funny thing about difficult people is this: some of them are just so totally, completely, absolutely unaware of the fact that they're being difficult. They're being unreasonable, that they are causing you that stress and pain and agony. Some of them are totally oblivious. They just don't know. So imagine here you are dealing with such a person, and you are banging your fist on the table and screaming and shouting and raising your blood pressure to a boiling point. All for what? When the person don't even know that they having, that their behavior, their attitude, their character, the tone of their voice, the way they speak, what they are talking about, their line of argument, their viewpoint is totally, absolutely unreasonable and making life difficult for everyone. So you must recognize, therefore, is this person completely ignorant of what is going on, or are they just doing it to gain a point, to gain recognition, which means they are a child, they are children. So on one hand, you have this group of people who are totally unaware of the effect of what they're doing or how they're doing as being difficult or unreasonable. On the other hand, however, you have these other people who derive pleasure in just winding you up, in just making life difficult for you, in creating chaos. They know your button, they know what to press in you, they know the right time to drop something on you that will make you just go boom. Again, you need to recognize those people. And don't give them the satisfaction of getting you to a point where you blow your top, where you blow your fuse, where you lose control, where you become a child in the room. So you need to recognize the difference between people who are just not aware for whatever reason and those that are expert in pushing your button, in pressing the right button, in just creating trouble, in making life difficult and miserable for you. Either way, either those who know or those who don't know, either way, they both create an unnecessary complexity in life. They create an atmosphere of strife. But more than that, they cause you to stress. They give you stress. They push you to the point where you just want to manifest. This is the issue with stress. Stress is bad. It's bad news. Stress is bad. A few days of being exposed to constant and sustained amount of stress will have a long-lasting negative impact on your health. It will have a long-lasting impact on your brain. Your ability to function effectively will be affected because stress have this tendency of attacking a part of the brain that is responsible for reasoning and memory. And if you are not careful, if you are not mindful, if you are not conscious, if you are not aware of the things or the people that you are dealing with, don't let anybody send you to an early grave while they remain here on earth, causing trouble for somebody else. So identifying the person or the situation at hand is the number one step towards making sure nobody raises your blood pressure unnecessarily. Stress is a formidable threat to success because when it gets out of control, the brain and your ability to perform will suffer. So don't let anybody stress you up. Whether it is negativity, cruelty, victim syndrome, or just plain craziness, whatever manifestation, whatever way it is manifesting itself, difficult people will drive you into a stress out state, and you should avoid it at all costs. Whether the person is just being negative, whether they're just being cruel, whether they're just playing, oh, look at me, nobody cares for me, I'm a victim. Whatever it is, whatever symptom they're demonstrating, it is your job. You owe it to yourself to make sure they don't bring you to a point where you are totally stressed out, because at that point it will cost you everything. It will cost you everything. So the ability to manage your emotion and remain calm under pressure, under stress, when people are pushing you really hard, especially difficult people, unreasonable people, people you just can't, you for the life of you, you just can't explain it to them for them to get grasp of it. The ability to manage your emotion and for you to remain calm under pressure, it has a direct link to your performance. It has a direct link to your ability to function. It has a direct link to your ability to even be reasonable yourself. Because stress will, if you allow somebody else's stress to stress you, if you allow somebody else's issue or ignorance or childishness or whatever you want to call it to stress you, guess what? You will become a problem person to another person. Because your stress, your boiling point, somebody else will have to pick up the pieces from that. Now you have become a problem person to the other person. So top performers, people who are really, who's got it all together, they have learned the skill. They have crafted their skills in such a way that they have set up strategies that they will use as soon as they spot a difficult person, as soon as they recognize an unreasonable person, they have a default mode that they go into to be in control, to manage their emotions, and remain calm in all situations. The question is this: have you developed those skills? Do you even know what those skills are? Because unless you are able to harness those skills and hold yourself together, somebody said if you don't know what you stand for, you will fall for anything. So unless you know how to pull yourself together and hold yourself without losing your head, you will find yourself in the muckly. The important thing that you must remember when you're dealing with unreasonable and difficult people is that they may be manifesting, they may be doing what they're doing, but as far as you are concerned, the important thing for you to remember is that you are in control. You are in control of your own emotions. You are in control of your own thinking, your attitude, your response, how you handle it. You are in control of yourself. Because if you don't do that, if you don't take that on board, guess what? They will take the control of your life and you become a puppet. They just dangle you and throw you about as they wish. So lay hold of some of the principles that we'll be sharing tonight on how to deal with, how to respond, how to manage all these people. Let me ask you a question. Do you know of any difficult person? An unreasonable person? Have you encountered any of them? Some of them?